The only thing Dragon's Dogma 2 fans long for more than a DLC or an expansion is a Dragon's Dogma 2 killer. There's a quote that says, when something looks too good to be true, it usually is. I say this because today we're going to be looking at a game that just seems so goddamn amazing called Crimson Desert. And you know, this game looks super duper ambitious to a point where a lot of players are actually wondering if Pearl Abyss, the studio developing Crimson Desert, can even deliver on their promise, because the things we're seeing here look so fucking crazy. And if they manage to deliver on this game, it would probably destroy not just Dragon's Dogma 2, but potentially even Tears of the Kingdom as well. That's the level that this game could possibly be on, because it just looks so unbelievable. Some of the things that we're seeing here, it looks super crazy. Like it could just step in and destroy Tears of the Kingdom and Dragon's Dogma 2 with one swing, I'm telling you. Crimson Desert is an action RPG by Pearl Abyss, originally an MMO spin-off of Black Desert. But now it seems the devs have changed the direction and are now making it into a single player, open world action RPG. It was supposed to be released in winter of 2021, but the game keeps getting delayed, and the last time we've heard anything about it from the devs at the time of making this video was back in 2023. And so hopefully we hear something from the devs soon about the release date, because honestly this is starting to feel like the day before situation, and we all know how that turned out to be one of the biggest scams in video game history. RIP to all the players that got scammed. Originally when they showed off that game as well, it looked too good to be true. It looked like something that was going to come and destroy the Division series, like something so fucking crazy, so unbelievable. But it just turned out to be a scam, and I hope that's not the situation with Crimson Desert, because that would be extremely disappointing and extremely fucked up if more players end up getting scammed. But luckily Pearl Abyss, you know, they've made games before. This ain't their first game. They have some experience making like open world MMO type of games, so hopefully it doesn't turn out to be a scam. The game follows a guy called Macduff, a mercenary in the land of Pywall, where his adventures involve exploring time dungeons and other mysteries in the open world. Another part of his adventures in the open world will involve recruiting other warriors to join Macduff's band of mercenaries. Gameplay includes a bunch of different things to do, with various side activities like side quests, puzzles, fishing, and traversal with climbing and gliding mechanics. Like there's really a whole bunch of different mechanics in this game, and that sounds so good, but at the same time it's a reason to be concerned, because it makes me ask the question, will these mechanics be deep and fully fleshed out, or are they just a bunch of gimmicks and things that don't really add to the overall experience? Like, are they just there as a selling point, or are they actually going to add to the fun, depth, and replayability of the game? Players can ride various mounts, including dragons, horses, and even tame them, among others. As you can see right here, it seems like this guy is trying to tame the horse. So yeah, not really sure if that applies to other creatures in the open world as well. Like, will you be able to tame dragons in the same way? Or are some mounts only acquired by reaching a certain point in the story? There's a whole lot of questions that we as players have in regards to this game, because it just looks too good to be true. And from what I've heard, the devs are working on more mounts, but time will tell. So I ain't really getting too hyped for this, at least until I play a demo and get this game in my hands, because the way our games are rolling now, these people like coming out here and showing off some badass trailers, and the next thing you know, people pre-order, and then you see people on social media complaining. You gotta see that coming, bro. But overall there isn't a whole lot of information about this game out there, so it is what it is until we get some new updates. In Crimson Desert you can take on a diverse range of enemies and even massive bosses, with unique combat mechanics that include the use of a sword and shield, which seems to be Macduff's main way of fighting, as well as a bow and arrow, wrestling moves, and even other martial arts inspired moves from Taekwondo. You can even climb up monsters and stab them up like in Dragon's Dogma 2, and you know that's one of my favorite things about the combat in DD2. However, it is unclear as to whether Macduff can equip other weapons like an axe or a greatsword, but it does look like you will be able to switch to other members of Macduff's mercenary group and use them if you want to use a different weapon. So it looks like you'll be able to switch between different characters and use their abilities. There's a chance that they might have special abilities as well. And because this game is so ambitious, players are questioning as to whether this will even be able to run smoothly on consoles. And personally, I'm not sure if this can run at 60 FPS on the PS5. It seems consoles haven't even been confirmed yet, so I don't know if this is going to end up releasing as a console exclusive or not, or even come to consoles at all. And I certainly do not think this game will be on the PlayStation 4, just because of power reasons. So if you bought a Series S, just throw that in the bin. Based on some other shots that I can see in the trailer, it would appear as if there is a wanted system system in this game, but it still leaves me with more questions like how dynamic will the world actually be? Will NPCs respond to certain threats? Like, can monsters attack the towns and stuff like in Dragon's Dogma 2? Will NPCs fight back, right? Or will they just stand there and cower in fear or not react at all like a retard? At this point in time, I don't think the devs have spoken about how much freedom the player actually has in Crimson Desert. Will we see features like the ability to kill any NPC we want, even quest givers, that would somehow affect the progress of the story or even cause us to fail a quest? And speaking of story, the story basically follows Macduff as he struggles with being a leader for his mercenary group, as well as struggling with his past, lots of bad memories about the past. There's also a shot in the trailer where they show Macduff when he was younger, so I guess a lot of his troubles probably come from that moment. Maybe he lost someone close to him. But overall, the world is looking fantastic. The world is looking vast and beautiful. The game looks super clean. And even in the trailers, you can see that there's different biomes. There's a snowy biome, there's a desert biome, there's also like the grasslands, typical biomes that you would find in an RPG. And based on what you're seeing here, like with the dragon riding, it seems like the dragon is doing some barrel rolls to dodge incoming attacks. So that would imply to me that there's some level of aerial combat. There's also a shot in the trailer where it's like free falling past some bombs that look like underwater sea mines, but this time they're up in the sky. And so I'm not sure if this is a common thing like over enemy territory or if it's just a one-off moment, but it looks cool regardless. There's also this part where it's dodging some fireballs coming from this machine, so it looks like there's going to be some bullet hell challenges in this game as well. It seems like there's a whole blend of different types of mechanics, different types of situations that you're going to be encountering, and hopefully these ain't just one-off moments, these are actually things that we see throughout the game. In terms of enemy variety, it seems like there's going to be quite a bit of it, but I would definitely like to see more. There's also goblins in Crimson Desert, and I really like how these goblins are looking like they're a whole race. They don't just look like some wild monsters, like some mindless monsters. They look like they have their own way of life and that sort of thing, because this one's wearing a crown. It could just be a goblin wearing treasure that he stole, but they do look interesting. One thing that I really like about Crimson Desert is that it seems to take inspiration, or at least some inspiration, from Berserk. The way how the main character Macduff is the leader of a band of mercenaries, just like in Berserk with the Band of the Hawk. And a lot of RPGs are actually inspired either by Dungeons and Dragons or Lord of the Rings, right? Or sometimes both. But what I've noticed is that it seems like a lot of these newer RPGs that have been coming out lately, like Elden Ring, even Dragon's Dogma 2, but mainly Dragon's Dogma 1, they seem to take inspiration from Berserk. Like, there's just little references and little Easter eggs that you could find and even make some crazy comparisons. And something that we know for a fact is that Pearl Abyss, the studio behind Black Desert and Crimson Desert, they had a collaboration with Berserk back in 2019, and where you could actually fight one of the characters as a boss, and there was also an armor set from Berserk in Black Desert, so they're well aware of Berserk, so that could have inspired Crimson Desert. They probably took heavy inspirations to make that, but so far I love what I'm seeing, and I really hope that they deliver on their creative vision and everything that we're seeing on the trailer plus more. One major concern I have is that since there's a bunch of different mounts, it makes me wonder if there's going to be a lot to explore in this world, if there's going to be a lot of things to find, like lots of different secrets, because will we be flying over and riding past a lot of dead space, a lot of dead areas, or are they going to fill in the space with lots of fun activities and fun things to do, different creatures to fight and different things to find? That's what I'm wondering, like loot, treasures, all of that stuff. I really hope that they pack the world nicely and don't make it just some big, bloated, empty, dead world. I don't want that. And as to whether or not Crimson Desert is a scam, we're just gonna have to wait and see. But all I know is I ain't getting hyped, I ain't getting my hopes up, and I ain't pre-ordering nothing. Subscribe or get slapped.